It's about 96 Fahrenheit the last time I looked, but should be beautiful conditions. As we join you to analyze tonight's 12-race card, I'm Jim Byers alongside Rodney Nelson, also known as Railbird Rodney on Twitter. And at least a benefit of this time of year, Rodney, is it's hot, but when we leave at 11:30 or midnight, it won't still be 91 or 92. It'll cool off by the evening.
When the sun starts going down,
Yeah.
it's a noticeable difference out here, so it's all right. But, yeah, right now it's hot. I was walking in today, and it was like, man, this is like July. It seems like. Maybe
it's
not as much
warm.
humidity, but it's warm. You can tell.
So let's get on to the analysis for the 12-race card. Quarter horse racing coming up. Some really competitive races tonight. First race, Maiden Claimers. These are 2-year-olds, and there's a pretty good carryover going in the Jackpot Super High 5 wager on race 1. $16,964 added to that pool. And right out of the chute here, we go 300 yards, and I see we both like the inside two in here.
Yeah, I mean, last night we had a bunch of picks that were very similar. We'll see if we start. I mean, it's starting off that way tonight, so let's see. Commish, I think, is a solid horse in this spot right here. Ran to 300 yards last time out, finished fourth in that race, just 2 lengths behind. 2 races before that was in some futurity trials, and, running against probably some better horses. I see one that was the next out winner there. There's a couple names that I recognize, but, I think the Commish can run decent tonight. I got Mr. Bow, the number 2, as my second choice, and then I got the 8 Rye Card picked as number 3 here in this first race.
Yeah, the thing to note about that 8-horse R High Card there's a couple of very poker or card playing names here with No Limits, Take Cash, which I assume is I'm not a poker player, and then R High Card as well, but R High Card has work that appears in the form but not the program. October 6th here at Lone Star, 2:20 on a fast track and 13.72 seconds breezing. I'm with you on these top 2 picks here. The Commish, best of an unaccomplished group is how I would say. Last time out, broke outwardly, was no match for the top 2, and then caught pretty much right on the wire for third. PP line might have looked a little bit better had he run third rather than fourth, but he faded to fourth a little bit late. Drops in class today after being against trial types in his first 2 that he was obviously tremendously overmatched. So we'll give him the edge. Again, just like last night's first race, my first race pick, not emphatic. Mr. Bow, last time out, really was quite a bit farther back early than it might look in the past performances. Really never was in it, but takes a much-needed drop. And the 10, First Prize Piloto is my third pick. Really had trouble last time, no clear path for sure, but also lacked a lot of speed. That's part of the reason horses lose their path is they just get away from there sluggishly and they can't hold their spot. But if First Prize Piloto breaks a little better today, she could figure as well. On to the second. Race 2. I think the top 2 on my selections really stick out in this one. This is an allowance, fillies and mares, at 330 yards, and we have the same top 2 again.
Surprise, surprise. I think this is the 5-horse here, Hit or Miss Kiss. This is probably one of my favorite horses to watch tonight. I think this is a solid horse. I mean, I've seen a lot of the horses coming out of the TQ Chase Sire Derby that I've been picking and betting, and they've been running decent out here. I mean, this horse ran in the Old South Derby, ran second in that one just by ahead to Mr. Teresa, who we've seen out here. I mean, this horse has run against a lot of good horses, had some respectable finishes. I mean, look at how 2020 has set up for Hit or Miss Kiss. 7 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. So 5 out of 7 in the money. I like those 2 wins. Has a win at this 330-yard distance. I think there's a lot to like about the 5 Hit or Miss Kiss. Got the 8 picked second. Solid performance last time out at Delta Downs. Got fourth in that race, but was just a neck behind. This horse also ran in that Old South Derby, which was a solid one. I mean, this horse got 6th, but was only 3/4 behind. So there was a lot of horses up there within at least 1 length of the winner. I think recognized is one to take a look at here as well. And then I've got the number 9, PYC Lovestruck, as my third choice. Has won the last 2 races. The most recent one at this distance here at Lone Star. Got a good barn, sends out horses that hit the board all the time, it seems like. One of the top jocks in Luis Vivanco as well. I think there's a lot to like about PYC Lovestruck. To me, it feels like with a 15-1 morning line, this is a solid pick in my top 3.
Yeah, we're similar. I went 5-8-7-9 rather than 5-8-9, but Hit or Miss Kiss last time really got away pretty well. It doesn't indicate that in the PPs, but you might go watch that August 29th race at Retama if you have the chance. Texas Sires Stakes Derby was really in big contention throughout and ran a super race behind Easy Blinkers. That said, recognizes a very formidable foe as well. First time tonight for Adrian Wheatrone. He tends to improve horses. That Old South Derby produced a bunch of next out winners. This filly also qualified for the Evangeline Downs Futurity last year. As far as Z James, I think she needed her last race just by the kind of dull performance here. But, she's had that comeback race and now comes back again. And she's earned $271,000 plus in New Mexico. So Z James obviously has hit the board in some big races. And PYC Lovestruck, as you mentioned, has that all-important good out over the track. Race 3. This is an odd race because it's a claiming race for 2-year-olds, but all but 2 of them are maidens. So it's almost like a maiden race with some sort of a condition that allows the 4 and the 8 to somehow get in, having already won a race. It's a weird race the way it drew, the type of field that it drew, because they're almost all maidens in here except my top 2 picks.
Yeah, another thing that's kind of strange about this race is take a look at the breeder on all of them, or most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them have the
Paints
same
and
breeder,
Apps.
so he's
Yeah.
looking for they're looking for a good payday, some breeders' awards for these paint and Appaloosas, right? So.
And just FYI, I'm going to be dropping the VP off of virtually this entire field. I mean, no offense to Villarreal paint horses or whatever that stands for, but I'm not going to be giving you 6 different VPs in a 17-second call.
Yeah,
it's going to slow me down a little
tough. But fun one. I mean, I like watching these paints and Appaloosas, and you get some of them out there. Have the beautiful markings on those paint horses out there walking around a paddock. It's exciting to see some of those. But I've got when it comes down to it, we're looking for fast horses, and I think the 5 VP Royal Lark. That's the one I'm taking here. Has one start on our surface that came just a couple of weeks back. Finished 5th in that race. It was at 250 yards, but it was only 3/4 behind. I think the horse put together a good race there. The one before that at Retama Park, second in that race just by a neck. I think that VP Royal Lark can get the job done here in the 3rd. I got the number 6, WF Kissin' and Dashin' as my second choice. A couple 3rd-place finishes in a row, both of them coming at 300 yards. Has tried this distance, the 330, 3 times, does have a 3rd to show for it. And then my 3rd pick is going to be your number 8 horse in Flash'em Wally O. 3rd last time out for this horse at this distance. That came at the Gillespie County Fairgrounds in a stakes race. So got to be some big money in there for that, or some decent money at least for the paint and apps in that one. And, finishing 3rd less than or by a length or so, it's good enough to put you in my top 3 here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Flash'em Wally O myself. I think he's going to be a relatively short price. We'll see. Like with Arabians, I don't claim to be an expert on paints. I do get to see them a few times a year while I'm charting at Remington. But, Flash'em Wally O has a much deeper resume than some of the others in here. Did participate in some stakes and some futurities at Retama, Fair Meadows, Remington. Has earned $14,700, which is probably about what the rest of the field has earned combined. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but nonetheless, I really like Flash'em Wally O. And here we'll see now, VP Royal Lark has run, especially the last 2 races, have been quite good. But, they've been against horses that haven't won. We'll see how they fare, but I went to 8-5-6 in this spot. On to the 4th. We got 2 scratches here, one of them especially pivotal. It was my top pick originally, the 6 Blue Deja Vu, who I thought was an absolute standout, and here is out. That throws the race much more wide open. Also, the 8 Just Blue Lips is out.
Yeah, and I went with the number 3 after that scratch of the 6. That's Honey Creek Senator. It's a horse, 2 starts for this horse for Adrian Houtron. Both of them third place finishes coming at Retama Park. Has never run this 400 yards, but has been increasing in distance in those last 2 races. It gets Lasix for the first time tonight. I think there could be something to watch with Honey Creek Senator. Second selection, I'm going to go with the horse on the outside. That's the 10 and Lethal Knight. This horse ran out in New Mexico at Ruidoso Downs for the last 2 races. Was at Remington Park before that. Tried this distance one time. I mean, that was 2 starts ago. That was in a futurity trial at Ruidoso for the Firecracker Futurity. Probably a little bit outclassed in that one. I think coming down here, you see he ran behind Flashing My PJs. You probably recognize that name.
Yeah. Cyber Monday, too, yeah.
In here for the tag tonight, so let's see. I think this could be a good spot for Lethal Knight. And then my third choice, I went with a horse on the rail. First-time starter. I'm going to go ahead and give this horse a nod here, considering the rest of them, and we'll see if this firster can't get it done on the rail tonight.
Well, the firster here, RC Lotta Hallelujah, has certainly worked really, really well. It was a $10,000 TQHA yearling sale purchase. This is a tough spot, though, even with what I think would have been a solid favorite scratched. You got some horses. You got Lethal Knight in here who hasn't broken well at all in his last 2 starts. But, he's been running against some really top-notch futurity hopefuls at Remington and Ruidoso, and it doesn't get any better than that. And he's acquitted himself reasonably well. The reason I didn't pick Lethal Knight is simply he's had start trouble. If he rectifies that tonight, he probably wins, but I'm going with Honey Creek Senator as well. He's really run 2 nice races. His last race, he broke really well, and one incredible hawk. Number 1 is kind of an iron horse. He ran 4 or 5 really nice races in about a 6-week span, including the Dash for Cash Futurity, where he had trouble in the trial and still qualified. And this horse kept up with him for a while before weakening. Honey Creek Senator, to me, if she runs her race, is probably the winner, but we'll see. Lethal Knight has a lot of credentials, too. It's just a matter of him getting out of there. Jesse's Magic, the 9, is my third pick. Has also run 2 decent races. Leaves New Mexico for the first time. Interesting race in that 4th. Let's move on to the 5th. This was a tough one for me. The 870 races where you don't have a lot of proven 870 ability, to me, are some of the toughest races here. This is a maiden claimer, 3 and up. There's not much hook experience in this race. So, what do you want? Do you want a Lenahe Royal who has hook experience, but none of it is particularly good, or do you want to take a chance with a newcomer?
Well, I'm going to take a chance with a horse that's kind of a newcomer. That's number 4, By Roxy By. Had 1 start. It came back last November out here at Lone Star Park. So this horse has been off close to a year. But I'll tell you the reason I'm taking this horse. If you look at the last 2 times this horse has worked, did it at the 660-yard distance, which I imagine isn't that common. There's some distance to that, of course.
No, well,
probably on the turn, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's basically
be here out,
break
right?
off at the 3/8 and come home.
Yeah, so those 2 workouts gave him a little bit of experience, turning left hand a little bit. I think that's gonna help out, especially with these horses that haven't run this distance out here before or at all. So I'm gonna take a shot by Roxy By with that one start a year ago. This horse has probably forgot how to run straight. They're getting her trained up to turn around, go around a turn. So maybe this is the horse that comes in and wins it. I took 6 Lanai Royal as my second choice. Has some experience at this 870 yards. Doesn't have that win. Has a second and 4 thirds. So does know how to finish in the top 3 in one of these races. And then I went with the 5 and Dash and PYC as my third choice. Gave this 870-yard distance a go last time out. Finished 4th in that race. There was a next out winner that finished 2nd. Said he was bumped at the start. So, didn't get out first time running the distance. Still, respectable 4th. I think Dash and PYC could get up here and, finish in the mix or so.
All right. I got a little distracted because we may have had some additional scratches in that 4th race that we just talked about. If so, it really kind of guts our selections. So if that's the case, we're going to get it confirmed. We'll double back to that 4th race. But as far as this race goes, I'm sorry, I got a little distracted by the late breaking news that we might now have additional scratches out of that fourth race. I stayed away from By Roxy By. I mean, the layoff, the never having been the distance. To me, it was too many question marks. That said, this race is a complete toss-up for me. I went with the 7. I'll Be Bach. Stretched out to 870 last time, was 17-1. Kind of ran like it, but actually did make up a little ground late in that race. It's not going to take much to win this race. Lenahe Royal probably has the best early speed in this race. And, I think you're probably going to have to catch him. I mean, his 870 experience, is kind of mixed, to say the least, but he has hit the board. And I took Dash and PYC, the 5-horse, who also figures to have some speed, as the third choice. Once again, we're going to keep in mind that we might have to revisit that fourth race here because I think we might have had some additional scratches out of that. Once we're down here, it's a little hard to get confirmed information. On to the 6th. Race 6, non-winners of 3 claimers, going that elongated 550-yard distance.
I'm going with the number 3, Just See Me Zoom. 6 starts at this 550-yard distance for the horse. Doesn't have that win, does have a couple seconds and a third, though. Most recently, tried this 550-yard distance at Retama at the end of August. Was in for $15,000 that day, ran second just by a nose. I think that's pretty solid. The race before that, stakes race at this 550, ran into Viva La Dawn, very solid horse. Was well beaten in that one, but still, this horse, I think Just See Me Zoom for this $10,000 tag tonight is going to be. This race is going to be a good spot for the 3-horse. My second selection, I went with the number 2 in Tater Chip. This horse has been off since April when last ran at Remington Park, but did pick up a victory in that last race by a length and a half at this distance. I think that's good enough to put the horse in second for me. And then my third choice is going to be the number 5 in Doc Pepper. This horse tried to go around the hook last time, finished third in that one. The race before that was a straightaway race at 440, won that race by a length and a half. So I think getting back to running straight might help out Doc Pepper a little bit, and showed some speed 2 starts ago. I think can compete at this 550, no doubt.
Let's see. We did confirm there are 2 very pivotal scratches out of that fourth race. We'll go back to that in just a second. I went with the favorite here in the 6th race. I'm going to get off the chalk here as we get later in the card, at least the chalk as we think it's going to be. But I took Just See Me Zoom in this race as well. I thought that last race was really super for this horse. It was August 27th. Really ran super well after being a little sluggish early. But, if you're going to run 550, you're going to sometimes have some chances to get over a sluggish start. This horse exits the best race, I think, by far in this field. The 2 Tater Chip hasn't been out since April at Remington. Likes this distance. Good connections. Iris Buchanan, John Buchanan, the tremendous trainer who passed away recently. I believe this is his wife, who now has some of his horses. But so good luck to them. But I took Tater Chip second and Dashback Jess on a turn back from 870 as a third pick. Let's quickly go back to the fourth and tell you about 2 key scratches. The horse we extolled the virtues of, the 3 Honey Creek Senators, out now, as is the 9 Jesse's Magic, who was my third pick. So I guess now I'm down to, and we're both down to Lethal Knight, the 10, as our top pick, and the 1 RC Lotta Hallelujah as a second pick. So take out the 3 and 6, 8 and 9 in race 4. Race 4, 3, 6, 8, 9, the information we're getting on scratches. Let's move on to the 7th. $631 one-night carryover in the Jackpot 6-shooter wager here, an allowance event, and they're going 870 once again.
Yeah, we got another hook race tonight. This one's a fun one, an allowance race. I went with the number 7, a Galaxy Guardian as my top choice. A second last time out at this distance. That was the first time that this horse has tried running around the hook. I think that experience out here on opening weekend and a solid second in that race, I think is going to go well for a Galaxy Guardian, so I do have the 7 on top. Second pick is going to be your number 8 horse, Empire. Man, you know, this horse has put together back-to-back wins at this distance. 2 starts back was in the Maiden Claiming, won it by 10 1/4, moved up to face non-winners of 2 the next time out, in for 10,000 in that one, won it by a head. So that's 2 in a row that this horse has won. One of them coming out here on our track as well. Has some experience at the distance. I like Empire, man. Third choice will be your number 2 horse, and that's Junior's Salado. A solid third last time out. That was at this distance. The first time for this horse to trot. You know, looking at that experience to help out the 2 and finish in the top 3.
Yeah, I have Junior Soldado as a third pick as well. This horse stretched out to 870 last time, and I thought ran a pretty nice race at Retama. So it was a good, impressive try. Draws right. You know, it's good, always good to be inside going 870. It's not going to guarantee anything, but it's certainly better than the alternative. I went with the 4 SLP Mighty High, who was a Carl Broberg claim last year and still runs for his End Zone Athletics. This horse last ran 870 in August at Retama, won that race, subsequently was in another starter handicap, but at only 440 yards. I don't think 440 is his forte. He loves this track. He likes the distance. He's going to be a reasonably short price. He's got some early speed. I'm going to take him over I Am Tough. And I Am Tough is my second pick here. I think his race last time was a little bit better than looked. He had the 8-hole. He bore out. He was very wide coming for home. Still ran 5th in that race, only beaten 4 lengths. The horse that to me is the X factor is your top pick, a Galaxy Guardian. I kind of liked him last time on opening night. Disappointed me a little bit, even though it was his first try at 870. It really wasn't a bad effort at all. I mean, Showtime ran a big race that day. For some reason, I couldn't use him back, but he might have needed that race off a layoff, and he could be really tough tonight. He might not back up as much as he did last time. On to the 8th. Maiden Special Weight, Texas Breds. These are 2-year-old fillies now, and they're going 250.
Yeah, I'm on the number 6 and Flying Chili Pepper. I like this horse a lot coming off that last race. I mean, that was a little bit different. I mean, it's 400 yards. That was a trial for the Dash for Cash Futurity. But look at that horse facing them, ran up against. I mean, One More I'm Gone V, the winner of that race, had Graceland finish second in that trial, who won the juvenile that couple weeks later. You know, I think that Flying Chili Pepper going back, cutting back in some distance to this 250 yards where she made her debut at Retama Park this summer. I mean, ran in 3rd in that race just by half a length. I like the shorter distance for Flying Chili Pepper. I think this is a good spot for her. My second selection is going to be the number 5 horse, Separating the Dashes. You know, 2 good races for this horse as well, both coming at Retama Park at the 350-yard distance. So knocking 100 yards off. You know, I always like it when horses aren't winning when they're stretching out. I like them cutting back, especially the ones that seem like they have some speed coming out of the gate. And number 5, Separating the Dashes, fits that bill. And then I got the 10, Foxy Hawks, as my third choice. You know, second last time out at Retama Park. It wasn't that long ago, so the horse is probably still good, ready to go. It was a next out winner in that one. What I really don't like, I don't like the 10-hole. Seems like the 10-hole has been bad this whole meet. But granted, there's been winners from the 10, no doubt about it. But I'd probably like it a little bit better if it wasn't the 10. I mean, it seems strange because I like the 11 and the 12 post.
Sure.
I don't like the 10, you know?
That's a little, it's odd to try to figure that out as to why the 10 wouldn't be as good as the 11 or 12.
It's just one of those things. I'm sure when you break down the math, it all evens out. Like
exactly. It
generally,
could be a
everything does, right? Yeah. I think I learned that in stats class.
Probably. I went with the 5, Separating the Dashes in here. I think this filly is really fast. I didn't like the way she finished at all in her last race at Retama, but she did come back and work just last week in preparation for this. She's very quick. I like the cut back in distance. I don't like the fact that she didn't wear a flipping halter in start 1, and that was a bang-up effort, just beaten on the wire. And then they added a flipping halter in start 2, which, as I mentioned before, I don't like it when a horse runs a good race without a rig, and then they put a rig on him. That means, in my opinion, that they expect her to have gate trouble, or she had gate trouble if it didn't make it in the chart or something. But anyway, I'm going with her. I think this race is super wide open, and I definitely recommend a spread in multi-race wagers. The Foxy Hawks comes out of a really good race. I don't think she ever really got the lead last time against Fancy Pants Heidi, but ran a really nice race. KMH Fancy Pants, the 7, is my third pick, comes out of a trial with Jim and Jam. Flying Chili Pepper definitely merits a lot of respect. The rider assignment's interesting. Carlos Rosales Salazar is not one of Angel Sanchez's really go-to riders, but this filly certainly comes out of a really good career debut with Salazar aboard, and then that trial with, One More and I'm Gone V was a pretty good effort for now the fact that she's facing 2-year-old maiden fillies. But I didn't even use her. I used Jessa, Dash, and Angela as a fourth pick. Let's go on to the 9th as we're getting a little pressed for time. On to the 9th. Non-winners of 2 claimers, 400 yards the distance, and I think this race is really, really wide open too.
Yeah, I went with pretty much a shot in this one. And, Jim, we got the same one on top.
I don't know. When we both go for it, I wonder if it's going to be such a big shot.
Yeah, one more famous streaking Ash. This horse has one start in 2020. One before that was in November out here at Lone Star Park. So definitely has had some time off. Has that one start this year. I'm always looking for an improvement from that comeback race. Horse has run 400 yards a couple of times. Has a second and a third to show for it. Decent record out here at Lone Star Park in 3 starts. Has a win and a second. I don't know. I like this horse, especially with that morning line of 12-1. My second selection is going to be the number 8, Me and Bobby McGee. A winner last time out. Put together a couple seconds before that. The horse has been running well this year. Those three races that I talked about all came at Ruidoso Downs. He's going to go back to this 400 yards where he's tried it 4 times as a second and a third for it. So, we know he can get the job done or perform well at 400 yards. I think the 8's a logical choice here. And then I went with the 5 in Jess Alada. Last time out, this horse was at the 10,000 non-winners of 2 level. Ran third in that race by a length. That horse that won that race, Mr. Suave, came back and won here last night. There was a next out winner in that one. He wasn't too far behind. We'll see if Jess Alada can't finish on the board tonight in the 9th.
Yeah, I'm definitely using him in a suggested pick 4 for TVG tonight, but I didn't use him in the picks. But One Famous Streak and Ash drops out of an allowance race. He has faced really top-notchers, or maybe not top-notchers, but really nice horses, especially last year as a 3-year-old. To me, even though this is a speed game, class might not mean quite as much as it does in other equine sports. You got a One Famous Streak and Ash versus a Me and Bobby McGee. Me and Bobby McGee has run some nice races, but he has never beaten a horse that had won a prior race. He has always been against maidens. So I'm going to favor One Famous Streak and Ash. We'll see how it goes. Me and Bobby McGee definitely comes out of a nice maiden dead heat win. So I went 2, 8, 10. I think I'm Georgina factors in here. She just drew away against a maiden claiming field here, but it was over this racetrack. She might be able to pop at a big price. Let's move on to the 10th. This is an interesting race as well. It's 300 yards, starter optional claimer. A lot of really fast horses in here, as you might guess, with a 300-yard dash.
Yeah, I've got the number 8 in Haggard. This horse has showed a lot this year. It started 6 times. Hasn't finished off the board. Has a couple wins, some thirds, some seconds, some thirds. I think Haggard fits in well here. Last time was in the starter handicap, ran second in that one. I think there's a lot to like about the 8. But my second choice, I went with one that was a bit of a price. 10. That's the number 10, Your Famous Hips. This horse is coming out of that TQHA Sires Derby last time out. I always seems like picking horses out of that race. Look back to the last time that this horse ran 300 yards. It came out here on our track, won that race. That was little less than a year ago, almost right there, but does have a win on this track at this distance. I think there's something to be said for that. Raul Ramirez Jr. gets the mount. He's a solid jockey. You can't overlook that. I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about the 10. And then I got the 4 as my third choice. It's had some good races. The one thing I think is the problem with the 4, I think he has trouble closing a little bit. I think he always seems to get caught as they're moving on toward the wire, but he could be fast enough to get out there and hit the board at least.
You know, I'm going with Haggard as well. I think that's a fairly obvious choice. This horse fires every time, has enough early speed to win going 300 yards, even though he doesn't do it very often, but he does have a 300-yard win. Comes out of a really fast race at Retama. So I'm going to go with him. I think he's a fairly emphatic choice. I like the 7 Kraken Black. This horse had some trouble last time out, then kind of just ran in the second flight, but definitely had some issues at the start last time, and Kraken Black's another one that seems to like this racetrack and can really motor early, and my third pick is the 6, D.F. Lawton. He is a really, really quick sort. I don't know if he's quite this good, but, boy, his races at Fair Meadows, he was a speed burner. So we'll see if he can convert that to here. Now on to the 11th. We've got some video here in race 11 to show you, involving the 3 Serendipity Rocks. And then we're going to look at the Neville Stakes. Serendipity Rocks is the 8-horse here in the highlighted area. And we're just going to watch him. He really had a rough start. Bumped both sides. You see him now. He's going to lose his path as they come down past the furlong marker, 220 out. He's the gray horse. It just kind of ends up in behind them. Really lost all chance at the start, and then also had issues partway through the race. But, you know, SS Classy Jess, the winner of that race, is dynamite and is on an incredible roll and will be, I would think, a solid favorite next week in the Yellow Rose Stakes. Serendipity Rocks has been in stakes company a lot. And this is a crazy wide open race, so I'm going with him. My second pick is going to be the 12 Catch This Bird. Tends to have a lot of start trouble. We'll see if he can get over that today. And the 7 Flying Eagle 07 is my third choice.
Yeah, we got the exact same
top
3 here. You know, everything you said about Serendipity Rocks is true. I mean, the horse likes Lone Star Park as well. I mean, 6 starts out here, has 4 wins. You know, won the B.F. Phillips Stakes last year. You know, got in that trouble in the Neville Stakes. I think the horse had a good chance to win it until the race unfolded. I mean, it looked good on paper, of course. You know, I think there's a lot to like about Serendipity Rocks. You know, he likes it out here at Lone Star Park, and I like seeing him on the track. Got the 12 as my second choice as well. I mean, 2 starts back in the Rainbow Invitational. Horse ran solid second just by a neck. You know, being out at Ruidoso all year long, I think there's a lot to like about the competition he's been facing and the way he's handled that competition. 2 wins so far this year. And then, you know, the 7 Flying Eagle 07 is my third choice. You know, it's a horse that's, you know, won $60,000 so far in his lifetime. I think still has a lot of way to go to win some more money. Has been out in New Mexico for a lot of these past races. I mean, has run 6 times this year, has a win and a third to show for it. Flying Eagle 07, yeah, I can take that as my third horse, no doubt.
Yeah, there's a ton of really high-quality New Mexico contenders in this, either New Mexico breds or horses that have spent a bunch of time in New Mexico. But before we leave this race, the 2 Financial Top was my 4th pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins this. He comes out of a huge race against Stone Cold Leader, who is a phenomenal horse. Has won about half of his starts. He's won well up into 6 figures in earnings. And this horse gave Stone Cold Leader all he could handle on this track on September 12th in a good allowance event. Race before that at Retama, lost footing at the start and was off poorly. That's why the horse didn't factor. And then last year was a stakes horse, although he didn't fare particularly well. So watch for Financial Top as well for Wheatrone in that 11th race. Now on to the 12th. We've got one more piece of video. The 12th is basically a rerun of a race from September 12th involving Swift Wagon, Topo Gigio, and Flying Robach. Those are my top 3 picks. Rodney has a couple of those in his top 2 picks. Swift Wagon, as we go to the video here, is going to be in the yellow silks. Topo Gigio is going to be just inside of him. There's going to be all kinds of start trouble. Watch the 4, the 3, and the 2. That's Swift Wagon, and then in the middle is Topo Gigio. The 2 is Flying Robach. Topo Gigio is going to be the one that has that moves in on Flying Robach, and Topo Gigio wound up being disqualified from second in this race. But Swift Wagon will wind up fading to third here. Topo Gigio got by him and wound up finishing second, but was disqualified. The reason I like Swift Wagon, it was his first start in a year. He was fractious in the gate. Who knows if that's going to happen again, but he definitely needed the race. He really popped out of there, as you noticed on the video, was clear of that trouble. So I'm going to give him a shot right back for Alonzo Neri. Topo Gigio ran a bang-up race, ran a better race than Swift Wagon, although Topo Gigio wasn't coming off the layoff. Had that trouble, was disqualified. Flying Robach, he had a troubled trip. He's also an 0 for 11 maiden, but, I mean, he has factored a lot against these. I think those three really stick out, but you also have the 11 Colton Star in your selection.
Yeah, I think the 11 is worth a mention here. I mean, 2 starts for this horse. I mean, if you're going to go a different way, I mean, I think it's 5-6 all day or 6-5. I mean, those two. I'm taking a newcomer to that one. It wasn't in that race on September the 12th. But, I mean, I think this horse has done fairly solid. I mean, last time out, ran this distance that was at Rotama Park. And you know what? Only missed by half a length. Flying Robach was in that race as well. So, I mean, Flying Robach didn't beat him by much. I think that third race of experience is going to help this filly out. And I think Colton Star, might have a pretty good shot at doing something tonight, at least factoring in some tickets and add a little bit of a price maybe.
But you do like Topo Gigio.
Oh, yeah, I like Topo Gigio as my top, and Swift Wagon. I think the race is between those two, just like you showed on that video. I mean, if they can get out and stay clean this time, I think it's those two that you're going to be looking at the finish line.
Yeah, they seem to be developing a nice little thing going. I don't think they've actually raced against each other before as I scan down here quickly. But, I think it's between those two, but we'll see once they line up and
That's
go.
why we run the races, right?
300 yards for maiden special weight Texas breds there in the 12th. All right. Well, good luck tonight, and we have got 12 races coming up, and as we mentioned, we say this a lot of wide open races tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Good carryover in the first one for that super high 5 of almost $17,000. So. You know what? Maybe one of us will hit that super high 5 in the first race and take the rest of the night off.
Good luck. And you'll hear Rodney's previews throughout the night. Thanks a lot for looking in, and enjoy the races.